These are the 5 steps I use to trick my brain to beat solo anxiety in Tarkov, allowing me to comfortably play solo raids within my first month of trying this game back when I first played in June of 2018. And after nearly clocking in 6,000 hours of Tarkov gameplay today, these same tricks are the reason why 99% of my raids are enjoyed solo. Starting with the first thing, getting my mind right. First thing I do before even launching Tarkov is to mentally prepare to take the L. I can do my best, but sometimes my best isn't enough to get the win. This doesn't mean I play to lose, but rather I understand that I don't have control of the result of each raid. But what I can control is how much effort I put in and how I react to the result at the end of it all. The thing is, this game is not meant to be easy. The appeal of Tarkov is losing 5, 6, or 10 raids in a row, then finally getting the much-deserved win on the 11th raid, making it so much sweeter. A little cliche, but it's the journey, not the destination kind of thing that makes the experience addictive. Losing is 100% part of the gameplay loop, and there's no way around it. The sooner you can accept that you will be taking L's, the sooner you'll get comfortable solo. And to build on top of taking the L's, accept that playing solo has its limitations. The main one being that you're at an instant disadvantage the moment you run into a squad. So in a sense, you are meant to lose. But also, you personally made a decision to accept this challenge as a solo. So wear it like a badge and be proud of yourself as you step into a raid as the select few who decided that Tarkov isn't stressful enough in a squad. Another thing that works great for me is to set small goals for the day. It could be as simple as get at least 1 survive, get this 1 quest done, or maybe get 1 PMC kill. Just set a bar for success, where once you've completed it, you can die and lose for the rest of the day. Then you can sleep well at night knowing you did what you had to do for the day. And I swear, some days I tell myself I just want 1 survive. That's it. So the first raid of the day, I'll literally play just to survive. Maybe I don't even get a kill, just as long as I survive, so I could say this day's a win. It sounds ridiculous, but I swear it works. One more thing before we get into actual gameplay related stuff. Ever notice how much less solo anxiety, or possibly none at all, when you're running as a scav? But as soon as you're a solo PMC, all that goes right out the window. If you do have that feeling, remind yourself that you actually have what it takes to survive Tarkov and do well in it. Those scav raids are proof. Or if you're someone who mainly plays with a squad, the same thing applies. Maybe you know you're a capable player when you're in a squad, but the moment you're solo, it feels like you've never played a raid in your life. So come into a solo days session with confidence, knowing that you've got what it takes. There's actual evidence that you can. But also, humbly know the L's will come. Now that we're mentally prepared, let's get into must-dos while we're sitting in stash right before we hop into a raid. 2 simple things. First, keep your stash as organized as possible. It doesn't have to be crazy organized, but just enough to see what you've really got in terms of gear and overall money. I am super guilty of this. I rarely have an organized stash, but when I do, I always realize how much more gear and money I have than I think, which gives me more confidence to just run raids and have fun with them, win or lose, knowing I got a decent amount of stuff to make up for a bunch of losses. And second, learn how to make money in this game. It's way simpler than most think. Do not overthink farming runs. As a PMC, just pick a map of your choice that you feel you can survive the most, and as soon as you spawn in, start to slowly make your way to extract. But on the way to extract, loot as much as you can, whether it be duffel bags, jackets, weapon crates, general loose loot, anything. Fill up as many slots as you can in your bag and rig and easily come out with a few 100,000 rubles or even millions if you get some good luck. Do the same thing as a scav as well. Run every single scav raid available. They are essentially free money. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Once you get really comfortable making money, it'll be way easier taking losses. At this point, we're ready to hop in and break down our tactical approach in raid. One of the first things I always preach is to learn how to play at your own pace, whether it's fast, slow, or somewhere in between. Whatever the pace, whatever the gear, it does not matter. If you're worried about someone judging you about your playstyle, trust me, as someone who plays the game to the public eyes for a career, no matter how I play, fast, medium, or slow, there's always someone out there with something to say. So play the way you feel. Not only what's most effective for you, but also most fun for you. But do know, it also takes a long time to figure out the best pace and playstyle for yourself, especially if you're new to the game. So just keep getting raids in, try different playstyles, and see what sticks. Something I noticed with myself is that in the rare time that I'm in a squad, I tend to play way faster because I feel secure with the amount of eyes, ears, and firepower available to protect me. But as a solo, I play way slower. But take that with a grain of salt. Another key point to keep in mind when you're in a raid is to focus on the goal at hand. We're kind of circling back to our point earlier about setting small goals. So remind yourself, what are your goals for this raid? Are you trying to grab a document for a quest? Because hypothetically, if you are, then keep in mind that you don't have to fight everything that moves. Maybe for this raid, focus on just grabbing that quest item and avoiding any unwanted fights. And this is where my next big point comes in. Pick your fights. You don't have to fight every single soul you see. Unless your goal is to clear the lobby, then sure. But if it's not, it might be worth keeping your finger off the trigger at times, letting someone walk by in order to survive to fight another day. The whole idea is to tunnel vision into very specific goals for each raid. This way, you already know how to approach the raid before it even starts, like where to head straight out of spawn, how you intend to extract, and how quick or slow you're gonna go. The raids that induce the most solo anxiety are the ones where you're worried about too many things with open-ended questions, such as, should I do this quest or that quest? Do I take a shot at the scav or not? Do I fight this PMC or should I just run? Should I bother looting or not? All these types of questions will be immediately answered once you come into a raid with a set goal, and you focus on completing those goals. That way, you're thinking about way less stuff, theoretically giving you way less solo anxiety. Go for small wins if you have to. A win doesn't have to be a high kill count game. Sometimes just surviving is more than enough. Now, whether you've successfully extracted or you get sent back to the main menu, the solo anxiety battle doesn't end there. Just as important as your approach in-game is how you tackle Tarkov mentally after your raids. This is the phase where we decompress from our raids and manage the long and short-term stress Tarkov can potentially bring us. Starting with one of my favorite mental hacks post-raid is instantly saying GG, whether after a survive or a loss, but especially after a loss. It might sound ridiculous, but GG instantly fires a neuron to my brain to remind me to take the L and move on. I still definitely feel the frustration of a death or a loss since I'm human after all, so I let it simmer for a minute, then say GG and accept the L. But then, immediately after, I replay the death in my head and think, how could I have done it better? I ask myself more things like, should I have peeked him there? Should I have held an angle instead? Should I have delayed my peek? Should I have completely disengaged? Or was the fight worth fighting despite the death? And so on. I do this most of the time and it's helped me a lot in the long term. I even get called out at times by random livestream viewers saying, you overthink too much, or you take this game too serious, or whatever. But in reality, this has helped me improve tenfold over the years. A huge bonus tip as well is if you record your own gameplay, you can rewatch your engagements and see micro mistakes you didn't notice in real time that you can learn from for your future raids. At this moment, you should be well equipped with everything from the mental preps pre-raid to the tactical approach once you're in a raid and how to decompress post-raid. Now what remains is how to sustain all this long term. To start, I'll give you a hack I've only learned recently that's helped me sustainably enjoy video games in general, Tarkov included. And it's simple, to end on a positive note. And a positive note doesn't always have to be a big win. I mean, of course, a big win is always ideal, but even after a loss, sometimes cutting the gaming session short just before you completely crash and burn will keep you mentally sane in the long term. And you know that feeling of just one more game, and before that. In my personal experience, it's rare where I play that one more game and it comes out as a net positive. Especially on days where I'm having a bad day of Tarkov, I'll end the session before my breaking point, instead of trying to bang my head on the wall endlessly hoping for a turnaround. As I've mentioned earlier in this video, sometimes I just accept the L and understand that some days it's just not my day. And as you do this, don't forget to celebrate the small wins. Even in the bad days, there's always a small win you'll find. For example, maybe you did die all day, but at least you got a quest done. Or maybe you learned a new cheeky angle from a player that killed you. Or maybe you at least got one survive in a streak of losses. Or maybe nothing went right. But the good news, there's always tomorrow to try again. Always remember, the more you play the game, the more you'll learn, and the better you get. Just like life itself, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Now that you know how to beat solo anxiety, it's time to learn all my tricks to instantly get better at PvP. And this video right here is what you need to see. Thank you to our patrons, Yang Fluffy Hamster, Blossom Smutty, Lightning Deathbringer, Timbador, Daniels, Guerrillo, Luis, John Terminator, Exalt, and Son of a Barbara.